My right, it's going.
It'll be just a minute until we can get the recording started for YouTube, so just bear with us for just another minute or so. Okay, we are good. So I'd like to call to order the February 17th, 2026 County Commission meeting at 4:02. Those present are Commissioner Hedin, Commissioner Hathard's online, Commissioner Martinez, Commissioner McGann would like us to announce that she is taking a 3-week family leave of absence. And then we have Commissioner McCurdy, Commissioner Winfield, myself, Commissioner McCallum, County Attorney Stocks, Commission Admin Mark Tyner, and our Clerk Auditor Gabe Thorpe. And with that, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we're going to move along to our citizens to be heard. I just want to remind everyone that those citizens to be heard are to come up and to state your name. It does say address in our policies and procedures, but we don't normally do that. And then it's a 3-minute rule. So after 3 minutes, you need to discontinue your announcement. And then just remembering that citizens attending the meeting should observe the rules of proprietary decorum and good conduct. And so unauthorized remarks and similar distractions shall not be permitted. And that goes, we'd like to encourage everyone in the room to hold by those standards. And would anyone like to speak from the chambers? Come on up.
Really quick. My name is Caitlin Myers. I'm the Executive Director of Area Community Land Trust. And I'm here to speak briefly on 2 items, mostly to express gratitude for the commission, but one is the subordination agreement, which is on the consent agenda. Thank you to Stephen Stocks and the housing subcommittee, and to Melissa for working through that. I'll be probably watching online later, but will be available to answer any questions on behalf of the Land Trust or Desert Rivers. The argument or the document that was presented is mutually agreed upon by us, and happy to answer any questions for that. And then secondly, with the roads department, we've been collaborating with Cody and Sean on the detention basin. So I want to thank the commission for funding that, supporting Cody. He's brought a lot of leadership to that department for big stormwater issues that have kind of accumulated at Arroyo Crossing. So we're really grateful for that project, and I think it's going to make a big difference in that area of the valley. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up, Mary.
Mary O'Brien. The $60,000 county funding of a study on whether timed entry is so onerous at Arches to be detectable in Grand County economics has been controversial since the beginning. I'm grateful that the Gardner Institute responded to Commissioner Hedin's questions about the process of the study because she couldn't find it out from you all. And they provided a list of 7 updates that have been given to Commissioner Winfield. These updates have included preliminary analyses, methods, and data over time. I'm guessing Commissioner Winfield added his conveyed questions and offered his thoughts during these updates with Gardner Institute. I've written to you asking whether Commissioner Winfield has shared any of this info with any commissioners. This study was funded by the commission, albeit by a 4-3 vote, and all of the progress of that study should be accessible to all 7 commissioners. It's not appropriate for Commissioner Winfield to be in a running conversation by himself with Gardner Institute, especially given his clear interest in justifying his effort to shut down timed entry as a county commissioner in a national park. So I hope I will get answers from each of you as to whether you were provided with preliminary data, analyses, methods, so that you too, like Commissioner Winfield, could ask questions of the Gardner Institute and perhaps offer suggestions. But I haven't heard back yet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the chambers? Okay, you two can pick. Who would like to come up first?
Well, I never want to, so I'll try to get it over with. My name is Pete Gross. I believe it was in July or sometime June or July that this commission voted to fund the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute study to determine the impact of timed entry at Arches National Park on Grand County's economy. First off, Arches is not a cash cow for Moab or Grand County. In fact, the reverse is true. Arches is kind of what helped put Moab on the map. But the idea that Grand County should dictate policy and also enhancement development at Arches is, to me, just patently absurd. I'll also point out that when I first saw the Hancock study upon which the rationale was mostly based, just one look at it, I thought the logic is flawed. And I referred to it as dubious. And one member of the commission wrote back to me when I asked, Martinez if he could send me a copy, referred to me as divisive and spreading hate and negativity in the community. And I beg to differ, but feel free to smile. Now it appears, I've been hearing that there have been multiple draft reports that the commission, or at least a member of the commission has received, and has also told us that we're not sure if we're going to share it with the taxpayers who paid for the study and who are your employers. You work for us, not the other way around. So I find that a little bit disturbing. And you'd also think if these draft reports vindicated the expenditure of that $60,000, you'd probably want to put that out there and share it with the public. But instead, also Commissioner Winfield raised the suspicions that the public is trying to influence the outcome of the study. And what that sounds to me like is, it just arouses the suspicion to me, is the commission trying to bias the outcome of the study. So anyway, might also note Judy Powers wrote a letter to the editor. It was published in the Times Independent, this week's issue. And those are my sentiments exactly. I urge you to take a look at it if you haven't read it. Thank you for your time.
Just want to clarify one thing. The commission hasn't received any draft reports at all, not even Bill. They've just been communication back and forth, so,
But there has been communication then.
You've had preliminary analyses.
but no draft have been.
Okay, I apologize if I want to.
Point of order, Graham. Point of order. There is no back and forth communication between the audience and the commission. Point of order on this thing.
That was the chair. Yes. Go ahead and come up, Allison. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. And as the commissioner, I can clarify information given by citizens. Thank you.
My name is Allison Mathis, and I'm a resident of Moab. I want to start off by quoting something that Ms. McCandless put in an email to me yesterday. I do have a request for you, and that is to be kind when you speak as citizens to be heard. I'm very concerned about this for a couple reasons. One, the standard of behavior from members of this commission, and I'm going to be specific about who I'm talking about. It's Mr. Winfield and Mr. Martinez, is anything but kind. It is bullying, it is verbal harassment, it is verbal abuse, and it is gaslighting. It is 100% inappropriate
We
in
can ask
any.
you to leave if you're going to not be kind. So go ahead and tell us what your citizens,
Okay.
like, tell us about the report.
Okay, Ms. McCandless, let me make a point that I have a constitutional right to petition for the redress of grievance to the government, which is exactly what I'm doing. And you're telling me that if I'm not, quote, kind, you're going to throw me out? How is that constitutional? How is that appropriate? Yes, I am upset. I am upset because of the behavior of members of this commission that is inappropriate, abusive, and frankly, has no business being in any sort of public forum. Yes, I am upset. Because no one should be, and some of this is directed to me. Like Mr. Winfield likes to go around last week or 2 weeks ago, he insinuated that people are coming up here, and there was only a few of us who spoke last time because we were being told to come up here by another commissioner. He doesn't know my motivations, and let me tell you what my motivations are. It is because I am outraged by his behavior and Mr. Martinez's behavior and the secrecy around many things that should be public business. The work of the commission is by definition the work of the community, and all the secrecy and all the gaslighting. In fact, your email to me was gaslighting in itself, because you're telling me that's not appropriate when apparently Mr. Winfield's and Mr. Martinez's behavior is appropriate. That is just wrong.
Our citizens to be heard just states that if the chair has a prerogative to ask people to keep that decorum, and so that's all I was doing, was asking that, and I think but how many?
No, I'm not out of time yet. There's another point. Again, I have the right to speak, to exercise my First Amendment right. The next topic I want to bring up is that in your response to me yesterday, you did something that Mr. Winfield and Mr. Martinez have done in terms of telegraphing what you expect the results of the Gardner Institute to be. You wrote, the business community that relies on park visitors has experienced issues. There was no maybe, there was no, oh, maybe the research will do this. You are telling me the outcome. And when you telegraph an outcome like that, that is a method of putting influence on people. I hope that the Gardner Institute has the independence and the academic integrity to stand up to that pressure. However, Mr. Martinez recently made emphatic statements about October's visitation. Your email to me, you are telegraphing, you are telling everyone what you expect the results of the Gardner Institute study to be, and frankly, that is just wrong and inappropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak?
Dwight Johnston. I really appreciate all the work that you guys are doing, especially Mr. Martinez and Mr. Winfield. I've never heard such a rash of just junk coming out of people's minds. You guys have done a great job, and I really appreciate you for it. Bill goes to Salt Lake more than everybody else for a reason. He brings a lot of money back to Grand County. He works hard on our behalf. When you've got somebody doing a study, it's your job as commissioners to communicate with them. It's not under the table, it's not BS, it's your job. And we encourage you to continue to do your job and reach out to people like that and represent us. It's your job to represent us. And we appreciate you beyond belief for doing that. And I'm sorry that meeting after meeting, you guys have to be hear this kind of stuff spewed at you over and over and over. It's, as a citizen of, like, I was born and raised here. And I've never heard this kind of stuff in a public meeting. It's just really unfortunate. It's, the study as far as the Arches entry is a valuable study. People come to Moab because they want to, Arches is one of the things they really want to see. And they, you travel here from Europe, you get to Moab, find out you can't go in. That's really discouraging. So I really appreciate you looking into that, and I really appreciate you representing all of us in Grand County. Thanks a lot.
Did the speaker identify themselves? Okay, I didn't hear it. Thank you.
All right, anybody else in the audience?
Sure.
Come on up.
Evening. AJ Throgmorton. I would say thank you to all of you too, especially those that might be drawing a bit of ire in the current climate. Everything you do is definitely appreciated. I'm excited to see the outcome of the Kim Gardner study. I think it's been stated it's going to be undoctored. The results are going to tell the story that they tell. We're all going to see them and adhere to whatever comes out of that. On a brighter note, I recently was added to the airport board. Very happy to do that on behalf of the community. We had our first EAS review just today. SkyWest came out. The EAS is our essential air service that services the airport with funding from the federal government. SkyWest gave a great presentation today, and it was a few things that stuck out to me were employment data over the past couple of years compared to when SkyWest was here. It's nearly double what it had been in the past. Let me rephrase that. Numbers with SkyWest were nearly double versus what we're seeing with Contour today. So that kind of stuck out to me. The connectivity that SkyWest provided was pretty high. And just kind of the general experience that I myself personally had when I was a passenger on SkyWest airplanes. I want to call out publicly that there are 2 more presentations from other airlines that are vying for that service. Contour is up tomorrow at 2 p.m. So the more the merrier that want to show up to those presentations. And then Denver Air Connection is going to be Monday, February the 23rd. So if you want to be a part of something that could really help improve our community, I think that EAS and showing up to those events is a good way. Thank you.
Thank you. And the time on Monday is 9:30. Didn't say that.
9:30 a.m.
9:30.
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? What about online? Do we have any? Oh, Susie?
Hi, you guys. Sure appreciate you. And my name is Susie Johnston. Susie. And I just wanted to say that I didn't know Commissioner Winfield was so against timed entry in Arches because I've heard complaints from other people that he isn't for timed entry. So obviously there's some ambivalence about this whole issue, and I'm really glad you guys are doing a study. We'll get some maybe objective information and be able to make a good decision or, encourage the park to go the right way. So I appreciate all that, and just good luck with everything, you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I don't think there's anyone online that it's like citizens to be heard.
I don't see anyone, Melody.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the chamber? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna go ahead and move on up to our first presentation from the Grand Conservation District. That's Ryan Jones.
Oh.
Think you're gonna join us online?
No, he's here.
Oh, all right.
Here.
I had to join, I think, to share. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. Just mute your.
Are you gonna run out of juice or what?
I hope not, so. My computer's been unplugged and in a bag for a week, so hopefully I got enough battery here. Let me, I'm not very familiar with Zoom on how to share.
I think at the very bottom of your Zoom screen and share.
Nice.
You're there, so.
Good
All
job.
right.
So my name is Ryan Jones. I work with the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food. I'm a resource coordinator. So I cover southeastern Utah, so Carbon, Emery, Grand, and San Juan counties. And I work with the 5 conservation districts in the counties or in the zone. So Price River District, San Rafael District, Green River, Grand, and San Juan conservation districts. And so what I do is I help the conservation districts facilitate projects on natural resources in their areas. And so the Grand Conservation District has asked me to come and do a presentation on some of the work that they've been doing recently. And so that's what I'm going to share today. So the Grand Conservation District board members are Sam Cunningham and Rhonda Gotway-Clyde are co-chairs. We tried to get them to be chairman and vice chair, but they like to co-chair better. So I said, okay, we'll deal with that. Phil Capel is the treasurer, and Cara Dorenwind and Dee Taylor are members. So some of the projects that the Conservation District has worked on in the last year is the Watershed Coordinated Watershed Management Project Plan. This is one that they've worked on, but I haven't been really heavily involved with. But it's a partnership with the Conservation District, Castleland RC&D, Division of Water Quality, and the Moab Area Watershed Partnership. And this project is to provide support for ongoing work that's being done in the Pack and Mill Creek watersheds. Through the Water Smart grant, which is a federal grant, they were able to receive $210,000 and $210,340 to go on the ground here in the Pack and Mill Creek watershed. Another of the projects that the Conservation District has been working on is the Three Canyons Ranch Invasive Species Mitigation Project. So Three Canyons Ranch is out on the Book Cliffs, where Hay Canyon and East Canyon come together on West Water Creek. There's a producer out there that has had a really bad problem with Russian knapweed. So the Conservation District partnered with Grand County Weed Department, Utah Department of Agriculture and Food, USU Extension, and the landowners to go in and treat this Russian knapweed. And after the first year of treatment, we went back and we saw a significant decrease in the amount of knapweed that's on the property. So that project's been quite successful, and we're going to continue to pursue funding for that project this year. Some of the other stuff that the Grand Conservation District is involved with is outreach and education on natural resource concerns. So last year they held a small scale agriculture workshop. They had 36 people in attendance. Conservation field days, or not conservation field days, that should be farm field days, where we get with the FFA and the Farm Bureau, and we go out to the arena out here and we do just an educational day with elementary students. And we had 130 students come through our station. We helped the Conservation District put it on. We do an erosion trailer where we teach the kids about erosion and how the water cycle works. So every year the Conservation District also holds a local work group to help assist the Natural Resource Conservation Service with their priority resource concerns. And that's something that we can, if there's a resource concern like Pack and Mill Creek, we can inform the Natural Resources Service, Natural Resource Conservation Service about those resource concerns and hopefully get some funding through the NRCS to go on the ground. The Conservation District also held a sustainable ag workshop where we invited locals to come and learn about ag protection areas and conservation easements. We hosted a soil health field day where we had people come out and learn about soil health and ways that they can implement certain practices on their farms. We also held just a local working group meeting that wasn't combined with San Juan County to address their resource concerns. So we had 7 events that were held in the county this year with 272 people that attended. So we had good turnout at our events. The Conservation District also has a little bit of equipment. They have a dewdrop drill, which is a small planter that you can pull behind a ATV or a 4-wheeler. We've been using it to plant smaller acreages where it's harder to get like a big seed drill in to plant. It works really well to plant in between row crops if you're doing like cover cropping, things like that. And then Conservation District also has a Vermeer wood chipper that is used for fire fuels mitigation projects here in Moab. A lot of the work it's been used for is along Mill Creek, where we've had a lot of Russian olive trees removed. So that has been, and that's not a rental piece, just because it's, I mean, there's a lot of liability with a wood chipper, especially when, you know, you can put a 24-inch log through it. So that's run by the Moab Valley Fire Department on projects. But the dewdrop drill is available for rent at a small rate just to help maintain the machine. Rhonda Gotway Clyde with the Conservation District is the one who can help you out with rentals on that. That's all I've got. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Do you have to have your own vehicle to pull the drill or?
We have a trailer.
Yeah, so if you're gonna use it, you would need like your own 4-wheeler or your own side-by-side.
Thank you.
But it is small enough that we've got a little trailer for it. So you can take your truck and pick it up. And you could probably pull it behind a truck. It's just, I don't know, it's only about this wide, so it's possible, I would imagine. That's cool. Thanks. Any other questions? Okay, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So our next department report is with Cody.
Dana
just-
Oh, Dana pulled them. Okay. You're up, Cody.
Next?
Yeah.
Well, first off, I appreciate you guys taking the time, letting me in here. I hope that you guys all got a chance to look at the documents that I put in the packet. Hopefully they give a good explanation of kind of where the road department sits. I'm not really tech savvy, so I don't have.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
Presentation by any means other than just a few notes, so. Anyway, since taking the position of the Grand County Road and Bridge Supervisor, the department has maintained 100% operational continuity and staying within budget guidelines. Focusing on establishing improving the practices that my predecessors left to me. Spring and fall grading schedules, routine maintenance, and of course, snow removal objectives, police department met all safety and maintenance benchmarks for the year. If I can, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the history in the road department operations, but can I just give a brief description of that? So Grand County incorporates 5,100 miles of road surface. Of these 5,100 miles, there's 1,500 of them that we maintain on a regular basis. Broken down further, 180 miles are paved, a little over 200 are gravel. This leaves 1,100 miles that are of natural service used to construct and maintain the County B road system. Because of the remoteness and of the majority of these roads, send out camp crews, spring and fall camp crews. That helps strategically camp for the week and then take care of all the objectives of that biannual grading that we have to do. Other road maintenance operations, of course, we have our regular area grading, hauling materials, culverts and drainages, cattle guards, and our paved road maintenance, including patching, crack sealing, and chipping operations. All of these operations are based off of road criteria, crew availability, and budget guidelines. So throughout the year 2025, the crews cleaned and maintained numerous cattle guards, culverts, and storm drain systems incorporated within our road maintenance agreements. I've established and fostered good working relationships with federal, state, and local community and other agencies to ensure access, egress, and safety is sustained. You guys have all lived here for a while, so we know that this winter is kind of a bust for snow. Dealt with the Forest Service avalanche forecasters, and we're about 2 feet less snowpack than we were last year this time. So it's a substantial amount. Has been pretty good snow, but it's not, we don't have the snowpack. Late in 2025, we did provide a detailed description of snow removal operations and a snow removal ordinance. I appreciate your guys' support on that. Little bit about the community and interagency coordination at the department. So the road department does and will continue to operate without an automated answering system. So I staff a administrative assistant that is the primary live point of contact. The role managing often urgent calls directly, providing immediate information, routine inquiries to the appropriate or routing inquiries to the appropriate personnel, and maintaining a professional, calm, and helpful demeanor at all times whenever the public calls, which we do house quite a little bit of public phone calls. As mentioned before, maintaining good working relationships with all the agencies, including all our local agencies. I appreciate all your guys' help in many of the MOUs and different things, budgeting that I have had to do, planning and zoning, county engineer, who's actually here for questions on some of these projects, if you guys have any. Attorney's office, the clerk's office, administration. It's a prudent in the complexities of project design and management. So at the road department, we maintain a high level of credential. All of us have commercial driver's licenses. We have to do medical cards. We also provide in-house training and operator equipment training required then maintained not only for the road crew, but also our shop staff as well. This ensures a high level and a well-rounded crew. The shop staff, additionally to having all those other skills, perform safety and vehicle maintenance trainings to enhance their, I really am an advocate for training. I like the ability that it gives you to maybe see something outside the box. So I do promote training for the guys and gals at the road department. We've also incorporated with HR, the monthly safety meeting culture, safety best practices and prevention measures. I log those with tests so that it just, like I say, it just keeps a well-rounded best practices and safety culture in our department. So a little bit about the fleet and shop operations. So the staffing in the shop consists of 3 mechanics and 1 working shop foreman. The overall numbers for 2025 are 332 county units that are maintained by 4 people. So it's a big deal. There's a lot of work that gets done out there in the shop. The road department houses 3 budgets. I have my 21 fund, which is the road department working budget. I have the 18, which is the stormwater budget. And I also have the fund 35, which is the road capital improvement budget. Looking at some of the large scale projects from 25, we did the Spanish Valley Mill and Fill shoulder widening project. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. I hear good impacts on safety, great traffic flow along the corridor. The road department did provide the flagging on that, which I do look for in a lot of my projects, is trying to incorporate what the county can do to help. Us providing the traffic operations for that saved the county $189,000 off the bottom line. So it was a substantial amount of savings to do that. I don't know how much you guys have heard about the All-American Wash EWP project, but
I hear it all the time.
we're moving pretty good.
No, you are.
We actually started on the structure.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last few days of work, we've actually made a big momentum. So I'm hoping that that's going to wrap up at least on the heaven side sooner than later. I appreciate you guys with the MOU that you helped me collaborate with the BLM and Price River Water Improvement District. That's going to save the county over $200K in riprap materials as a free use pit rather than purchasing that rock. So that's a big kudos too. Like I say, I appreciate you guys helping me out with all that. There was a lot of everybody involved in that. One other thing, our street lighting upgrades. I know there's some flack for everything being so bright now, but it really is pretty safe. You get to drive around, walk in the neighborhoods. It's pretty cool to have streetlights that are actually working. So the $15,000 bill with a 10-year zero maintenance, it's got a projected annual savings of $4,000. So in 3 years, a little over 3 years, we'll be back in the positive on that, and then we'll have 7 years of good working lights. Road department and my future 2026 outlook. So my foresight into 2026, the road department is increasingly driven by a combination of best practices, strategic collaboration, and data-driven management. I'm doing this to improve safety and objectively manage not only projects, but the crew. So shifting the road department goals to proactive maintenance, or from reactive to proactive maintenance, is a strategic approach that I'm incorporating in crew training. Basically, in layman's terms, I'm wanting my guys, if you see something that needs done, let's figure out if we need to put more time in it, a little more money into it, and fix it while we're there, rather than bouncing all over the place and doing these just basic routine maintenance. Nothing ever really gets done good. I want to make sure if we're on a project and we can put a little extra time in there, a little extra money, let's see what it's going to take to get it good, or maybe we don't have to worry about it for a year or two, unless we get flash flood. But yeah, so basically just looking at reduction of long-term costs and extending road life. So I have a list of some projects. This isn't an exhaustive list, but it is some future projects and goals. Another phase of the Spanish Valley Drive mill and fill, pushing maybe from the Beeman out to the county line, incorporating that wider shoulder. Joint operations with San Juan County with the Muddy Springs trailhead access. Been working on that with a commissioner and also a joint effort with San Juan and UDOT. It's pretty good project to be involved in. And we have our East Holyoke infrastructure and road improvements project. Spanish Valley Drive multi-use path. I know that's a hot one. There is, of course, Commissioner McGann isn't here, but we are working on solutions to move that bottle wall. So just that's an update. There is some talk about trying to move that bottle wall.
Save it.
The Jackson Street storm drainage, we're trying to get that back out to get some competitive bids to see if it's actually going to be something that we as the county want to pursue a project like that, or if it's just something that's just not gonna quite get there. But I think we are gonna try to get some competitive bids, see if we can get that back down where it may be a manageable budget item for that. Our flat grant, at the end of the month, we actually are getting that back on. The federal lands access had some changes within their department. Some new people are in charge of that now. Sean and I both received emails. We'll be sitting on that team at the end of the month to try to see where that flat grant for the Castleton Road improvements is going to be at. So we can bring that back to the table with you guys. Buena Vista drainage, which is what Caitlin spoke on a little earlier with the kind of joint efforts with the Royal Crossing and the road department. And then, of course, the storm drain master plan, that 2011, working on things where sometimes you flip the pages open and culverts have been installed. Sometimes they haven't been installed, but it is pretty nice to be able to have that document that's going to show what the road department is in charge of, maybe what it's not in charge of. I actually have run into a couple of those scenarios where with a little bit of collaboration, we figured out that it wasn't our problem necessarily. But safe sidewalks and safe streets for all grants. Sean and I are both working on those committees to try to come up with some good, funding opportunities, whether it's some TAP grants, trying to pair them with some other granting. And the build grant, you guys are familiar with that, with the paving of Sand Flats that Andrea is really working on. So I appreciate your guys' letter of support on that. And then the working with the UDOT on the long range transportation plan. I think there's a lot of really good areas. Commissioner McCandless pointed out a few areas that maybe we didn't think of around the airport, just for the future growth of the community. Some of those turning lanes and different things. I think there's some really good scope in there that we can really use. But yeah, I really just do want to give it up to not only you guys, but County Engineer Sean Yates. He's been really just super helpful in managing this Fund 18 account for sure with stormwater, just because we can bounce ideas off. He's got a vast idea of what these projects take, working with CDOT and UDOT. But yeah, the road department's always looking for projects that are going to benefit the community and where it's going to benefit the community the most. So I really do appreciate your guys' willingness to support my department. Go to bat for me whenever I can, and just look forward to the continuing success with you guys. If you have any questions at all.
Well, questions. I'd add Dan Stentis to the thank you though as well. I mean, his continued
Yes.
work on that bike path moving out to the south and just what he's still involved with there. Both he and Sean's been a big help for all of that.
Yeah. No, Dan with Fox is. So yes, I appreciate your time though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you guys have any questions about any projects, feel free. I'm more than willing to sit down when I have more than 10 minutes.
Thanks, Cody. Okay, we're gonna move along to our general business action items and discussion consideration for approval. Our first one is the commission member disclosures and future considerations. Next today. And Mike,
As always, my wife works for the sheriff's department.
okay, and Trish,
For future considerations, and I just want you to think about this, Commissioner McCandless. I would like to maybe see in-person reports of electeds come back. Especially, I think that it would be great if we would do our reports, but I also miss having reports from county attorney and the clerk auditor and our sheriff. And so I would like to see that come back. And maybe we just have a hard, like, you have 3 minutes, so just think about it. That's what I would like.
I think that if anybody in this timeframe, the commission member disclosures and future considerations is a good time. If you do feel like you have something that you want to bring to attention from your report, it's a good time to bring it to, as well as if Mark or Gabe or Stephen have anything to add in this spot, but we can definitely think about it. I just don't want to take up 45 minutes of our time.
I know, but we, the meetings have become quite short and I think they're quite valuable.
I think
That's, I think they're quite valuable and I always appreciate hearing from all of our elected, so.
Yes, so consider that.
Thank you.
I agree. I miss that as well. I don't know if the community misses it, but so, okay, and any other future considerations? Anyone would like to give a little report?
Sure, I can give a brief synopsis. We've been continuing to meet with the ICCR folks. That's the Institute on a Coordinated Community Response to Domestic Violence. And that's the program that my office is working with the victims advocates. It was originally with the victims advocates and Detective Sterry, as well as the Moab Police Department. They sponsored us. They're going to fly us back out to Texas to go to their annual conference. Another interesting item of note, there was a preliminary municipality on Cane Springs. There was a request for an injunction that was filed. That's not something that the commission's a part of, but it's something that is of note, and that was filed earlier within the last week. So that's been filed in the district court, and I can provide commissioners information about that as well. We had the sentencing on the attempted murder case this morning. That was the case that was, again, normally I don't speak about cases, but this was an impactful case. He was sentenced to prison. And so that happened this morning. That was the stabbing along the pathway. Otherwise, everything else in my office continues to be the same. We have an open position for domestic violence coordinator / advocate within my office. And so that's pending. I think that's all the updates I have.
Okay, anyone else? Good.
I will say, we are hiring a building inspector that will start at the 1st of March, the first week of March. So we are trying to get that building back up to staff, and we'll see how that goes, but we're excited that we're going to have a building inspector.
That is exciting. Okay. Did you want to comment?
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our approval of the consent agenda items. We have our approval of meeting minutes from February 3rd, 2026. Ratification of payment of bills. The total bills in the amount of $1,544,231.02. Total payroll $283,228.99. for the total bills and payroll of $1,827,406.01 of $460.01. C is ratification of special use permit application for UDOT for the license plate reader on Highway 128. Ratification of the UMTRA bill support letter to Senator Lee. Ratification of the letter of support for Moab City's CIB request for funding for their water tank. F is the ratification of RCG fiscal year 2026 contract grants. G is 2026 ethics pledges and disclosure statements. H, ratification of local consent single event alcohol permit for the Grenadier Gathering. I, letter of support Ride with Respect motorized RTP grant for heavy equipment and project prep. J is a letter of support for Ride with Respect OHVR grant for the motorized single track maintenance. Approval of the MACL foreclosure termination and subordination agreement. I is the motivations training 2026 contract renewal. M, ratification of cooperative law enforcement agreement between Grand County and the United States Forest Service Manti La Salle National Forest. N is the MOU with the Bureau of Land Management All-American Wash. O is the ratification of the All-American Wash change order. P is Stewart Moab MOU UTV lease. Q is the purchase of 2 Toyota 4Runners. R is leased vehicle reassignments.
Motion to.
Okay, and second. So we have a motion by Bill, second by Commissioner Martinez, all in favor?
Aye.
Good job. That passes 6-0. And on to our next one, number 5, with our position backfill request with our Personnel Services Director, Tess Barger. For the GCAT seasonal grant funded position.
All right, good evening, commissioners. So as stated, this is a request for our seasonal trail technician positions under GCAT. We actually have 2 to 3 staff that are intending to return. So all of these positions are seasonal, but from year to year, we do tend to carry over at least several returning staff. We haven't brought any of them back yet, pending the approval of the commission, but the plan is to bring back those 2 to 3 returning staff and at least 1 more for the spring season. To do trail work, the funding is fully grant funded, both the wages as well as fringe benefits. So the entirety of these costs will be billed to a variety of grants that cover the activities of these trail technicians. And an additional point of clarity is that for the funding, only phase 1 of Mud Springs would be utilized for covering these wages and fringe benefits. Not phase 2. We're not ready for Mud Springs phase 2, and there's still about $30,000 left in Mud Springs phase 1 pot that needs to get spent down.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. What questions can I answer?
Mike, do you have your hand up?
Oh.
Go ahead, Brian.
Did I read somewhere that this was 1 position originally? Or was
No,
that-
and that's a
Am I confusing that? Because I remember I thought I saw somewhere that it said 1 position and then it said 1 or 2 positions somewhere else.
excellent question. So the way that it was filled out within the staff is they put 1 to 2 of the understanding that they only had to request for the vacant position. What I did is I amended it to request all of the both returning as well as new positions. There are 6 positions budgeted for the entirety of 2026 within the approved 26 budget. However, when those staff not all 6 positions are going to necessarily come back immediately. So it was just a little communication between myself and the team, and something that would be really wonderful for the commission to clarify, as well as are departments expected to request returning seasonal positions, or are those considered not subject to the hiring freeze?
I would think that we'd want some clarification on the forum.
I always want, if it's coming from a grant, it's a little easier to fund those positions. I mean, if they're fully funded from grants. It's a different question when we're general fund.
Okay,
So
that's
At least for me.
That's a helpful clarification.
Jacques, I think Jacques. Jacques, go ahead.
Thanks. Can you hear me well, Melody?
Yes.
Great. Thanks. As these are grant funded and I've been out on the trails, we've had a really busy winter so far with all of with the lack of snow and people coming to town. The weather's been so nice. And I've been out riding the trails. They certainly could use the standard maintenance and more. So I would move to approve the backfill of the 6 seasonal fully grant funded trail technician positions under the Grant County Highway Transportation and Trail Department.
Okay, motion
I'll second that.
and second. Thanks. Any more discussion? No, okay. So we have a motion by Jacques Hadler and a second by Trish Hadeen. So I'll call for a vote. Those in favor? And
Aye.
I'm in
Oh,
favor.
you're in favor,
Sorry,
okay.
I'm still reading.
6-0.
Playing catch up here.
That passes 6-0. Thank you, Tess.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
So our next one is with Cody again.
Me again.
Okay, so this is Desert River Credit Union contractor installation of county supplied pipe and inlet.
Okay, again, thank you for having me in here. So it was brought to my attention that this Desert Rivers Credit Union is moving out to the bowling alley and Highway 191 corner. And in the process of doing that, the infrastructure plan is kind of fills that whole area up with curb gutter, sidewalk, asphalt, the generator house, a lot of infrastructure, basically. The contractor, when they were doing some test holes in there, it was brought up about the Boulder stormwater plan to run the Boulder stormwater down under the highway. Touch bases with a couple of the retirees from UDOT back in the early 90s. They put a 48-inch culvert. Well, we think it's a 48-inch culvert. The contractor's going to do some potholing and ensure that's what it is. What we ask is, instead of having to tear up all that infrastructure after they put in their parking lot, if the county would put in, or well, basically purchase all the materials to put that storm drain under their property, the contractor would do it, and the Desert Rivers DBSI would be more than willing to put that infrastructure in for us if the county supplies the materials. It's an ask of roughly about 50,000, just quick cost. 48-inch ADS HDPE pipe is about $2,800 a stick. Times the 10 sticks is about 28,000. The drop inlet box, which is a precast, we'll have to have that made and ordered. Just assuming it's going to be 15-20, puts us about 48,000 bucks. It's in the stormwater budget. I would recommend that we do that just so we don't have to tear up their parking lot, even if it's 7 years, 10 years down the road. That business isn't going to go in.
I recommend approval of providing materials, 200 linear feet of 48-inch ADS HDPE pipe and 72-inch drop inlet for advanced construction of the future storm drain network.
Okay. Second by Mike McCurdy. Any other questions or discussion?
Just a quick question. What's the savings that we're doing for the labor?
To put that storm drain in, if the county was to do it, it probably a couple weeks worth of work. I would say in the hundreds of thousands to.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we're gonna call for a vote then. All in favor?
All right.
That passes 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have you on the list anymore. Our next one is the GCAT application for a state motorized grant, and we have Kelton Reese Sullivan here with our motorized trails.
Howdy y'all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, so the background of this is that at the last MTC meeting, the last two MTC meetings, we've identified there's sort of a mismatch between the capacity for labor to get trail work on motorized routes done in 2026, 2027, and the amount of available materials. And so this, the GCAT or Grant County applied to the Motorized Recreational Trails Program, RTP grant. And this would help cover materials for wayfinding, signage, and paint, informational signage, sort of narrowed down to a half dozen or fewer potentially kiosks or informational signage at like specific places, and then fencing materials for trail delineation and parking area delineation and stuff. The purpose that has been sort of concluded by MTC members and members of the community is to improve the route clarity, navigability, and user experience on the designated motorized trails, to help mitigate trail braiding, bike bypass creation, and like designated trail corridor widening, and then to enhance user safety, trail sustainability, and the trails are obviously some of the recreational assets that Grand County has to offer. And we pulled specific locations. The grant's going to be pretty broad in scope. Ideally, these materials would be able to be used on any public land designation. So on BLM, on Forest Service, on Sitla, potentially in Utah Raptor, potentially in Sand Flats Recreation Area. And we're identifying locations and areas that have decently high use, but are like under-maintained. I've got a few key examples for you guys. So one of the like routes that needs improved wayfinding would be like 3D. I don't know, I've been there recently, but about half the intersections have signage about which way the trail goes or what intersection you're at. So that's something that could easily be improved to have the user experience be better. Staging areas, it's been pitched that like the Enduro Loop single track staging area off of Blue Hills Road could have informational signage to help new users what options they have and opportunities for a great day riding. And then a fencing project. This is a good point into Chicken Corners, like off the other side of Hurrah Pass. And this would be something we would work and coordinate heavily with San Juan County and let them lead the project and ID what they wanted the solutions to look like with the Moab office, field office, and the Monticello field office. The most important part is that our the maximum like financial ask for this grant would be under the amount that our current Grand County's current 2026 OHV recreation grant could match. So the motorized RTP requires a 20% match. And so the key thing is that the county would not have to supply any additional money to act as match. We can use a current grant that we have already received to match this motorized RTP and find materials that can be used for like new motorized state crew and other. Yeah.
And so this is RTP, and that will be due April 2nd.
April 1st.
April 1st. So you'll have the grant ready to go for the next commission meeting?
Yeah, I would like to present the application to you guys next commission meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And what are we actually voting on here? Because I see where it says that a letter will be added at noon on Friday, but yet it's not in here, so I'm not quite.
Yeah, I can answer real quick. This is originally going to be for an OHVR grant, I believe, where there were some questions on if it was going to be an OHVR or an RTP grant. The OHVR had a deadline of March 2nd? I believe it's March 2nd. And so we wanted to get this onto the agenda. And since it was already on the agenda, we thought it would be a good idea to have him go ahead, present the idea in case we had any changes or recommendations.
Yeah.
So this is more of a discussion item. We're not voting on anything.
Correct.
Okay, and so is there a letter? I'd asked Dana if there was a letter for it, but.
The letter of support, we'll have to wait till we get the application and see what the full request is.
Yeah, it's just to sort of brief you guys and so you can be more involved in the process. I know that there's the new outdoor recreation planning subcommittee. And if you guys have questions while I'm going through the process of this, you can feel free to reach out and ask me about it.
Great, thanks, Colin. Any other questions?
No, but just maybe a suggestion, just, for any of the OHVR or the RTP, the OHV grants that we have.
Yeah.
The motorized grants, I'd just like to make the suggestion that we do have those go through the MTC to get a letter of support prior to coming to the commission. As we move into the future, so that we are utilizing our board and listening to what they have to say. So if an outside entity does come to the county, that we're at least asking them to please go to the motorized trail committee first.
This was presented to the MTC on last meeting, I guess last week, and they.
Perfect. Thanks, Colin.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you. All right, so on to item number 8 is the resolution amended final plat for the Walking Horse amended subdivision with Andrew Jackson, our planning and zoning director.
Hi, Andrew Jackson with the Grand County Planning. The Walking Horse subdivision was previously approved as a 4-lot subdivision. And then they came in September 16th of 2025 and received a zone change from rural residential to large lot residential, and that was approved 7-0 by the Marion County Commission. And so this is a subdivision, amended Walking Horse subdivision, just adding those extra lots due to the zone change that they received. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, I'm recommend approval of amended final plat for the Walking Horse subdivision.
Okay, second by Michael McCurdy. Any other discussion or questions?
Do we have to include the findings on this as well?
Yeah, it would help.
You would need to.
Okay. I'll make an amendment or a substitute motion.
And then one other point, if you folks would be so kind, Bart has not, this has not gone through Bart's full review. He's a bit delayed, and so this hasn't gone through legal review. We've looked at it. It looks like it should be approved. It's likely to be approved, but we would ask for you to add a contingency of it going through legal review. We'll have Bart review it. If commissioners do not feel comfortable with that, we're fine to get it back on the docket. Bart indicates that if we put it on, I believe in March, the first week, then we should be able to review it at that time. But he's been inundated with requests from us, and so that's where it's at. And that's the same for the CUP for the mule as well. So.
All right. I move to recommend the county commission approval of the amended final plat for Walking Horse subdivision parcel 02-035-009. I'm sorry, 0009, based on the findings of fact of the staff report and the conformance with the Grand County Land Use Code 9.2.5, the general plan, and the future land use map pending legal review.
Okay, Mike seconded, so we have an amended motion by Commissioner Martinez and a second by Commissioner McCurdy. Any other discussion?
Can I ask Stephen a question? So what if legal review comes back and there's something wonky, then, yeah.
It'll come back to the commission. That's like for any contingencies. If there's an issue or error, we'll raise it to you folks. Similarly, there was a contract last year that broke terms. When it came back to you guys, that's how it always works. Bart and I can't do anything without express approval from the commission. And so when we have circumstances like that cause us concern, we'll bring it back to you guys, explain the circumstances, and go from there.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead and call for a vote on the amended motion. Those in favor? Aye. Okay, that passes 6-0. And Andrew, you're still up for the number 9 conditional use permit for a mule at 1575 Rocky Road.
Lonnie Marsing owns a half-acre property located at the 1575 Rocky Road in the large lot residential zone. Stephen and Charlene Euler have submitted an offer to purchase the property contingent on receiving approval to keep their mule Jenny on the property. The Grand County Land Use Code 3.2.5 Under other standards, animal raising states, the keeping of domestic agricultural animals and livestock shall be considered a permitted use, provided that no more than 4 animal units as defined by Article 10 per acre shall be allowed on parcels with more than 1/2 acre and less than 5 acres. These standards are not be applicable to parcels larger than 5 acres. However, the use table in section 3.1 identifies animal raising as a conditional use permit in the large lot residential zone. Additionally, Article 10 treats donkeys and horses as a single animal unit, but does not specifically address mules. Since a mule is a cross between a donkey and a horse, staff's determined the mule would be 1 animal unit, the co-unit of the 2 animal units on a 1/2 acre parcel. Staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit request, subject to the conditions, subject to condition that it be reviewable upon substantiated complaint. Mr. and Mrs. Euler, I met with them a couple times. They are well familiar with the raising and keeping of mules, and specifically Jenny, and are quite aware of what it takes to maintain the property.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
I move to approve resolution TBD, approving a conditional use permit for a mule at 1575 Rocky Road, parcel number 02-0LOP-0002 in the large lot residential zone with the condition that the permit is subject to review based on substantiated complaints.
And this would also follow the same review. I believe we have the representative for the oil.
Pending legal review.
Yes, I think it's under contract. They have a limited amount of time on their contract.
Yeah.
But
Very limited. Second.
Pending legal review, I added there.
Oh, yeah.
Second, Trish.
Second it, and then I have.
Okay, Brian second, Mike, and then Brian seconded, and Trish has a comment.
So with our land use code update, we just need to add mules into the mix.
that's one of the things also to clarify, where it's a permitted use by right, and we technically go in the next paragraph, it requires it as a conditional use.
Okay. And then Lenore, if they want a couple, I got a couple hay burners. I have a couple for them, and some hound dogs too, if they want some of those.
Okay. Okay, any more discussion, questions?
Unless
That's name this resolution Jenny.
Yeah, like I need a picture or something.
All right, we'll go ahead. We have a motion by Commissioner McCurdy, a second by Commissioner Martinez. Go ahead and call for a vote. Those in favor? Thank you. Stop.
Thank you.
All right, that passes 5-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stop. Heather. And number 10, thank you, Andrew. Number 10 is a letter of support for the UARG Tier 1 grant for archery range at Osta. This is presented by Commissioner Hadid.
Yes, thank you. So I'll just give you a little bit of background. So in 2023, I applied for your Utah Outdoor Recreation Grant in the amount of $36,000 and received that. Along with that, I got $5,000 from Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. I got some materials from the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources in that I got 4 large blocks, archery blocks, which are about $1,000 a piece, and 2 outdoor picnic tables. And I also had an in-kind donation of approximately 70 hours of work with an excavator, a 320 excavator, and a D8 dozer, plus transport and fuel. And that in-kind donation was about $25,000. That got us to where we are today. I've been working I've been trying to like scratch every contractor in town and getting them to help me. Ben Bird came out, looked at the fencing. Recently had Harold Saunders come out and look at the fencing, and Angie had gotten a quote on the fencing for about $58,000. And I'm like, Angie, we don't have that much money. Harold was just like, you got to just have them do the fencing. So that being said, I called out Utah or Department of Outdoor Rec, said, here's where we're at. What can we do? And he said, here's what I recommend. You apply for another grant. ask for the full amount, what you need. So what I'm asking for is the fencing, the gravel, which was actually on the capital projects list, so we could pull that off. And some signage. And then, and he said it would supplant this grant. If you don't get it, you don't get it, and then you'll have to return to this grant and make do. We do actually have fencing that we've been pulled off of the high school. And we could reuse that, and I could go about it in that way. But I think this would just be a much better project. I think Angie would be happier, and this would finish that up. So at this point, what I'm asking for, this is just the last kind of supplementary materials. I recently went to the MTAP board. They approved a letter of support, and I'm asking the commission for a letter of support so that I can finish this grant and get it turned in. It is due by March 13th. There will be no match because we have some cash in-kind donations, and then obviously the labor and equipment donations. Questions?
I move to approve the letter of support for the U Board Tier 1 grant for an archery range at Osta.
Okay.
Second, and a question.
Yes, right, go ahead.
What, can you total up that in kind one more time?
So he's gave about 70 hours using 2 pieces of heavy equipment, an excavator and a dozer.
Yep.
Excavators, I actually got on Wheeler today and looked it up. Excavators are $930 a day. A D8 dozer is actually $3,400 a day. It's mortifying.
Are we going to, in that, are we going to use his help on the fencing?
No, it's.
Or is that an OSTA staffer?
So the fencing, we would just have Taylor,
Fencing.
yeah, they gave us, that would include all, that was labor and everything. It was a $58,000 quote. Obviously, she's gonna put it out to bid,
Yeah.
right? But that was like a quick quote that she got a while back.
Okay.
And so we would have that just professionally done. That was Harold's recommendation instead of us trying to kind of piecemeal that old high school fencing, even though it was a nice idea. I think this will be a nicer product.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the goal is to have this done. If I can get this grant, my goal, I'm just gonna knock on wood, is it's done this year. I realize I've drug this out. I started this in 23. I actually started it about 15 years ago, but I'm almost here now.
Sorry, one more.
Go ahead.
Just talking at this point. With that, are we any chance that hopefully it's done this year? Same with pickleball wrapping up.
Yes.
We need to get the word out there. That
Yeah.
There's now an archery range, there's a pickleball range. We
I know.
need to drive that usage up of the area.
I know, and it was great to go to the MTAP because I really think like an archery range is one of those things that can draw, like there's actually, you can draw in events that can be held there. And obviously it's just one of those draws, like if you're already here and it's one of those things like, oh, cool, there's an archery range. I mean, that's happened to me twice where I just happened to have my bow with me and I'm like, they have an archery range, cool, so it's a cool little just side attraction.
With that I actually have seen a little bit of outcry on social media right now that there's not a lot of things for youth to do. And not that I want all youth to be running around with a bow, but I do love that it is one more thing that they can go out and do. So
yeah, absolutely.
And also why it's super important that it has a good fence.
Yes.
I was checking it out the other day and I was like, I'm in favor of a good fence. There are houses back behind there, people do have a bow.
Yeah. And that's why it took
If
so
we have new people learning how to use their bow, it's a little scary. So I think
That's why it took so much excavation. And I don't know if you guys remember what was back there, but it was a weird like dirt track. So when I took him out there, he's like, you realize this is way more work than I'm like, oh, it'll just take a couple days. He's like, dude. And so all that dirt had to be pushed. And then once he got it there, Angie came out and was like, it's not high enough. So then he had to go back, which is hard with big equipment because you got to move it with, a low boy. So it's not like, oh, I can just run out there real quick. So it was a lot of work, but I think we're at the place now where, just small scale projects. And this is one of these things that dedicated hunters, I'll also get dedicated. I've had a couple dedicated hunters out there that helped with small like skid steer work. And that was great too, but we can get people free labor through that avenue.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Any other discussion? Okay, so we had a Motion by Commissioner Winfield and a second by Commissioner McCurdy. All those in favor? Okay. Okay, so that passes 5 with 1 absent. Commissioner.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, that was an aye for me, sorry.
Sorry, okay, that's passed 6-0. Thank you. And then number 11 is the ordinance adopting impact fees for transportation parks and the sheriff. So this is Mark, you gonna present this or? Okay, and Cody's online as well for any questions.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And public hearing ended on February the 11th. We received no public comments concerning this issue. And Mr. Dieter is online if you have specific questions.
I'm gonna make a recommendation. Maybe I'll start with that before a motion. I had some notes and I didn't bring all of them with me to the meeting, but I do remember what I was gonna recommend for this year. And even though I had ideas for future years, I think it would need to be revisited anyway, because we can't obligate a future commission anyway to something. So my thoughts were along the lines of a graduated, get the word out there, plan to move these numbers up rather than just dumping it on the community, which is basically contractors who are trying to help provide some of our housing in this community. So I was going to recommend roughly a 10% increase on transportation. And I'm big on rounding numbers off. So rather than carry it out, I had it at $650 is roughly a 9.8 or something percent increase. And I was going to recommend a $500 placeholder for the sheriffs, which is currently at 0. And then a 25% increase on parks, which even though it sounds big, it's still a pretty small number. It takes it from currently $1,211 up to $1,515, which is a $304 increase for the parks. So $650 transportation, $500 on the sheriff, and then $1,515 for parks. And that would allow us to come back and revisit that at a future, a year's time out from now, and then possibly see if we want to put some increases on it rather than just go with the max. And I did have those pulled up on Cody's report here a minute ago. Yeah, you have them.
No, I know. Sorry, Bill. I was trying to remember, like I felt like it was
got 'em
about
right.
$5,000 or something.
Yeah, I've got them right here. It was taking, oh, no, I don't either. Apologize.
The totals of what they were proposing?
Okay, right. The proposed was taking transportation from $595 up to $863. The sheriff from 0 to $2455, and parks from $1211 to $2660. So a pretty substantial hit on housing first crack out of the gate. And that's why I was thinking we should look at this over a 3-year period and transition that in at a little bit slower rate. And so those would be my recommendations, and I would be glad to make a motion unless there's further discussion around that. Because I'm not set on those numbers. That's just I also had year 2 and year 3 planned out, but it doesn't really matter considering we can't obligate a future commission anyway.
Okay, our clerk auditor has comment.
Yeah, Vice Chair, I just wanted to make sure to respond. I know you had made a request for an update on the reserve balance that we hold in, I believe that's Fund 28 for impact fees. And I did pull some reports. There's some entries in our ledgers that based on the dates that they were made, they relate to auditing entries. And I'm just trying to better understand how these funds have been managed over the years. So I have, there's something like $750,000 in the reserve balance of that fund. But I sat down with Chantel today and sort of gave her a directive to do some deep diving on the regulations and the codes associated with how we need to manage those funds. I want to be really confident about that we're, considering the use of those funds in the right way possible. And so, but that's in the works. We have that in the pipeline and Chantel's working on, and we'll get sort of a firm answer to that question, but definitely on my radar.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And I figured that's what it was in relation to. And that's just for more clarification for the public and commissioners. I had asked him how much money was currently sitting in those reserve accounts so that we had some idea. And regardless of what's sitting there, I do think that we need to be aware that future growth is going to have an impact on our infrastructure, and that's why I'm kind of taking the graduated process here of raising those fees rather than all at once.
Go ahead, Mike.
Not a bad thought. My only thought with that is, with the sheriff's amount, with continued talking, on looking through some of our, what you call it, committee, fixed guideway tax.
Guideway tax.
I would much prefer the sheriff's budget spread over partial tourism, partial constituents or valley residents, than directly put on the back of contractors, locals, and local home buyers and sellers. I would rather those fees be directed to a partial sales tax versus that gets paid for by some of our visitors and instead of our locals directly. So my thought on that would be $0 for the sheriff's raising of the impact fees. But your other graduated, I understand the need for those fees. I don't love them, but they do serve their purpose.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Martinez.
I'd like to start off with a question first. When we were doing the analysis on the parks, were you considering in the grants that are usually applied for in those budgets? I see that you have written down here, a $2.9 million value. Is that $2.9 million that we've used for match, or is that $2.9 million including the grants that we've received to create these parks trails in that program?
I'm happy to respond to that. The Impact Fee Act is very specific that grants cannot be used as part of your level of service. So no grant funds were assumed in this level of service. Only those funds that were actually paid by Grand County itself.
Thank you for that. And then second, kind of getting towards Mike's point, just want to make a comment real quick. Two things, I think when we look at impact fees or taxes, we need to be cautious of what we're incentivizing. And so to raise, and even though it's small, to raise an impact fee does lower the incentive for people to build housing. And that is something that we greatly need here. So I just like to kind of put that out on the table, that when we do raise the impact fees, we are lowering that incentive for housing. On the flip side of that coin, though, I do think of impact fees as future, right? Not so much as in right now. And we will need to have the folks that are coming in here be able to pay for some of those services that have already been paid for by this community. I think that's just part of, anteing up when you come to the table. So I actually like Commissioner Winfield's numbers that he kind of presented. It seems like it's a fair deal to move that parks down, just because I do think that a big portion of our parks program has been funded by the OHV community. Because as we look at the majority of those grants that are applied for, it is OHV funds that have gone and been the grants right there, whether it's for motorized or for non-motorized. The RTP is both for your non-motorized groups. That's funded by the OHV. And then second, as we look at the sheriff, even though we are looking at this fixed guideway tax into the future, I think it's also important that we look into the future beyond that right there and understand that the people that build are going to have to help on some of that upkeep and maintenance of what we've already done. So I think that it's a good compromise and falls right in it.
Jacques has his hand up, and then I'll go to you, Trish. Go ahead, Jacques.
Thanks, Melody. Yeah, I appreciate Bill's graduated idea about raising the impact fees slowly, being able to revisit this next year. Also, I would support his numbers. I'd even be more comfortable with going higher than Bill mentioned a bit, but it sounds like the will of the commission is more or less along those lines. So I wouldn't go against that. And thanks for your measured thought on that and your proposition.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Hadeen.
So I just I've built 3 houses here over my 25 years and to be honest, like impact fees never really affected my decision making as to the house that I was gonna build. It's just kind of a part of the game. Groundwater and sewer, I don't know what their latest impact fees, but I remember I just did an ADU that I live in and those I remember going ouch because I was building such a small structure and my budget was so small that one, you know, I felt them a little bit. I think it's 6 per sewer and 6 in water. I think it's what it is.
Say 13.
Yeah, probably 12 or 13. So that one I remember feeling, but I do think impact fees are just one of those things you absorb. I actually kind of ran the numbers, just amortized and put them in a schedule. And so if, let's say it was $5,000 over 30 years at 6%, which, you know, it's like $29 a month. And I'm not saying that's not, it does have a consequence, but I think broken down, and if it's the home that you want to build and live in, I think it's a small thing. It's just what you do, you know, with groundwater and sewer. I acknowledge like that's the thing. You pay those impact fees for future infrastructure that we need in this valley to run water and sewer. And so that's about all I'm gonna say. I do support what you're proposing, Bill. I think it's a good idea.
Mike?
I know this $30 isn't much, and yeah, you probably know that. But I don't pay that $30. My renters are gonna pay that $30. And that's what matters to me. That means every new rental built in this valley, everyone's rent will be $30 this next year, or $30 more. Because no renter is gonna pay that fee, or no buildee is going to pay that fee. They're gonna pass it on to the renter. $30 at a time. I mean, $30 in 3 years, that's $100 more for your rental unit. Just from impact fees, just from these impact fees, let alone groundwater and sewers, which I do feel that bite.
But on another level, those new renters are gonna be driving on our roads,
Yep.
you know.
Right.
I move to approve the transportation impact fees at $650. The sheriff impact fees at $500 and the parks at $1,515. That's it.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. Yes, Bill Winfield and Trish Hadeen is for second. Any more conversation? I do think revisiting these next year would be valid. Good point to dive into it, especially as we move along with the public safety building. We'll know how much that jail is when I talked to Cody about this the other day in our Fixed Skyway meeting. You know, we have to use the amount that we collect within 7 years. And so if we start collecting money, we have to use it. So this will be new. And then it only goes for the cost of the sheriff's office and the jail. So it wouldn't cover the entire public safety building. It would just be those pieces. But once we know what that particular cost is, we might be able to really, I mean, he's got $3 million with an estimate of the growth, but maybe it would be a little different. Maybe we did a better job of building. I don't know. But so we might have a little bit more information to make this more correct in the future, but I think this is a good start. Go ahead, Mike.
No, we're good. Sorry.
Okay. And Stephen.
Just one thought, commissioners are talking in future tenses. Right now, if anybody takes the 3 minutes that it takes to write an email, and then you can send that to the commission in the future. Because when we have these conversations here now, it's really easy to remember this stuff. But then when we come about a year from now, remembering this conversation is sometimes really difficult. So just food for thought, sending a message to you guys yourselves now saying, hey, look, we really want to do a graduated approach might be helpful.
Great. I will do that email right now. Future dated to the future. And any other comments? Go ahead and call for a vote. Those, we had a motion by Commissioner Winfield and a second by Commissioner Hadeen. Those in favor, go ahead. And Jacques?
Yes.
Okay, and those opposed? Okay, that passes 5-1 with Commissioner McCurdy opposed. And our last one for today is, and I'm gonna have to take a little break before our public hearing. We do have a public hearing at 6 o'clock, do we? Our last one is number 12. It's a public safety complex feasibility study request for proposals. And no one's assigned to this. I guess I'll take it. In the Fixed Skyway subcommittee, we have been moving along with our studying of what would this public safety look like? Where would it go? How big would it be? And this RFP comes out of this feasibility study comes out of that meeting, our subcommittee. And it would, we'd again have to get a cost. I think it's approximately $20,000 to $30,000. That's generally what these, up to $50,000 is what the fiscal impact could be. One thing to note for this,
It says
as
two different.
sorry, what was that?
It says 40 and 50.
So there's two different numbers, just so you know, Mel. It was probably just a mistake. Like it says one place it says up to 40 and one place says up to 50.
Oh,
So it's no big deal.
well, whatever you guys make the, that's up to you. But you know, we don't know how much it's gonna cost. Right? It's not like we're gonna send in this information, we're gonna put it out there to bid. It's gonna come back to us. We'll all, I imagine we'll go to the Fixed Skyway Committee and then we'll come and present that proposition to the commission. And it's just this first step. One thing this can be repaid with, if we do pass the Fixed Skyway tax, then this would be reimbursed from that money. I'm not sure if it'd be reimbursed from impact fees. I doubt that. So it would be reimbursed from that Fixed Skyway if we do move forward. Does somebody else have a comment?
Gotcha.
Wendy, Gabe, did
Gabe,
you
do you have a-
You're not sure.
It was just like we would spend it up front and then we would get the tax revenue later and pay it back. Is that
Mhm.
kind of-
Yeah. So we get paid out of our capital right now, and then we would, if the
Yeah.
chose to enact the tax, or the voters did, then we would pay ourselves back to our capital with that tax money.
Okay,
And that was verified by Marcus Keller.
cool. Yeah,
Okay.
that's an accounting trick.
Go
And Sean first.
ahead, Jacques.
Yeah, thanks. The Fixed Skyway Committee has done great work. We're moving along on this. This is absolutely necessary to our county's future, and this is, like Melody said, a first step that we need to take. So I'm 100% on board. So I would move to approve the public safety building feasibility study for up to $50,000.
And Mike has seconded. Any more discussion? Go ahead, Brian. Oh, did you have another comment, Mike?
I'm okay. Brian first.
Yeah, just the only comment I have is since we don't know how much it's gonna cost, I don't know if we want to put 40,000 or 50,000 in there. I know that if I was bidding and I know that there was up to 50,000, I would say it's gonna cost me $50,000 to do this study, you know, and I know that it'll be that cost will be part of the selection process. But I don't know if we want to just leave it open right there and see what comes in. Because it,
Make an amended motion.
they just brought it up for discussion.
Okay. And I think that sounds realistic. I mean, idea.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
maybe once it came out and you guys, came up with a firm number, you could just let us know. Right,
Well,
like,
it has to come back to the commission.
Well,
anyways.
exactly.
Yeah, so the selection committee is gonna go
Yeah.
through it. Steven's got something.
Just whatever you put the price point at, you might encourage them to provide services up to that level. I mean, they can provide greater extended services, and I know whoever was in that committee would know that they can give you $100,000 proposal or a $50,000 proposal. So I think if you give them a range in what you're looking to spend, a ceiling at least, then they'll know, okay, we'll give this proposal this amount, and hopefully they come in lower than that. I don't care either way. It's just
That makes good sense.
That was part of the discussion because we could go really expensive on a feasibility study and go really in depth. We didn't want to go too short because then we just have to redo it again once we did decide to build. So we wanted to encapsulate all the information we needed specifically, if we build on this spot, we'd want to go underground. Can we go underground right here? You know, what's the geological study? So that was a piece of it that we knew we wanted, because if we're looking at this piece of property, super important to know that piece. We didn't want to skip over it and then have to come back later and find out and know that this isn't available. So there were certain things that when we were putting this together, we identified, so the group identified that they don't necessarily want to look at acquiring land or trying to trade land. It's just getting the land for public safety building would be really challenging, and also having to deal with the community, not wanting it there. And so we already have a jail right here. We can build and then move over, and so it just seemed to be the consensus of it's hopefully going to be less expensive to build on the land that we already have. And so that's where this feasibility is coming from, is it like if we were to build on this piece of property right here to the east, or I don't know what direction that is, or north, that we would, well, is it feasible? And so, and then with some of these things. So that's really why it was there, and we could go really expensive or we could go really cheap, but I think that is probably why I chose those numbers, is so we can get a decent amount of information.
It's good information. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Mike.
As a member of the fixed highway tax subcommittee, explanations and our previous tour and several things have been amazing in helping me look or actually see the need for this research and the availability of geological surveys, the site surveys, et cetera, and wanting that information for that subcommittee to make more recommendations. It's been a quite easy choice to make that request for that amount of money. So.
Okay, any more discussion or comments? So we had a motion by Jacques and a second by Commissioner McCurdy. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes 6-0. And
Sure, I'm sorry, just for clarification, do we need to list that amount as a do not exceed amount?
up to 50,000, is that what you said, Jacques? Jacques?
Yes, up to 50,000, that's correct.
Okay, up to 50.
And then I don't know if commissioners have been checking their emails, but if commissioner checks their emails for me, that might be helpful if we're gonna have a break.
Let's see. No, I've been paying attention to the meeting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a conversation.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. People don't seem to know when I joke anymore.
We could, go ahead, Commissioner McCurdy.
I'd like to make a motion. We go into closed session to discuss pending or imminent litigation.
Okay, and second? Commissioner McCurdy is first and second by Commissioner Winfield. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And for the public, we will be back by 6 o'clock, at 6 o'clock. Just plan on 6 o'clock. There's no reason for us to come back before 6 o'clock for the public hearing. Thank you. I'm gonna go to the restroom.
And Dana said she'd need just a moment to.
Yeah.
I need to
As they're
time out.
timing. Yep.
Yep, I'm gonna go to the restroom.
Is there another closed session on schedule?
We
No.
had one